The Stars and Stripes show is brought to you by the U.S. Embassy.
Well, you're officially welcome to the Stars and Stripes show, proudly brought to you by the U.S. Embassy in partnership with Gabs FM, #America in Botswana. And today we're talking the green economy. Now, Sustainable Development Goal number 8 promotes sustained, inclusive and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment and decent work for all. And you might be wondering, what does this have to do with the green economy? Well, let me tell you this. Listen up. Sustainable development has been an overarching goal of the international community since the UN Conference on Environment and Development in 1992. Amongst numerous commitments, the conference called upon governments to develop national strategies for sustainable development, incorporating policy measures outlined in the Rio Declaration and Agenda 21. Despite the efforts of many governments around the world to implement such strategies, as well as international cooperation to support national governments, there are continuing concerns over global economic and environmental developments in many countries. These have been intensified by recent prolonged global energy, food and financial crises, and underscored by continued warnings from global scientists and society in transgressing in a number of boundaries or ecological limits. Now, today we're talking the green economy. We're talking greening and women's entrepreneurship. And of course, this is a topic that is very, very dear to my heart. I'm one person who definitely loves the environment. And in the building, I get to speak to Natalie Patton, who is the U.S. Embassy Environment, Science, Technology and Health Associate. How are you, Nat?
I'm great. How are you, Swift?
Fantastic. How was your week?
It was fast and furious.
I like that. And apparently the new Fast and Furious 21 is coming out sometime soon. So I hear on the streets of Gaborone. Look, Nas, let's talk about the environment. And of course, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to come in studio. And of course, look, you are the Regional Environmental Office ESTH Associate, which stands for Environment, Science, Technology and Health. Look, tell me a little bit about your function, your role at the U.S. Embassy for the region and in Botswana.
Sure. So the Regional Environmental Office for Southern Africa, or REO for short.
Okay.
It represents the U.S. State Department's Bureau of Oceans, International Environment, and Science. And then the REO in this town is one of 12 regional hubs around the world, 3 of which are in sub-Saharan Africa. So this hub covers 10 African nations on all things environment, science, technology, and health. And then in Botswana specifically, our focus centers on climate change mitigation and adaptation, transboundary water issues, conservation, wildlife trafficking, human-wildlife conflict, and drought and dryland issues. So that's your technical answer. The short answer is that we're a small office with a big passion for conservation, and we are incredibly lucky to be serving in this capacity in Botswana, a country with nature that's of global significance.
Absolutely. And I think you're well placed. Conservation issues, how to manage those things are issues close to our hearts as Botswana, including, whether we like it or not, we're all members of the global citizenry. And of course, climate change affects all people. And that's why this particular show, the Stars and Stripes show, is so important, highlighting the bilateral relationship between the BW government and of course the US government, and of course the partnership model and collaboration. Look, climate change affects us all in every corner of the globe. We know that this is a huge issue. And in Botswana, we can see this happening at an accelerated pace, with temperatures rising and agriculture being affected heavily. I mean, the droughts, the farmers also struggling with challenges and how to mitigate climate change. What is the role, or rather, what role does the U.S. Embassy play in addressing climate change, specifically in Botswana?
Yes, Swift, you're right. So around the days of COP27, this was last November, we shared a post on the U.S. Embassy Facebook page with the hashtag Share Your Stripes. It was a picture. I'm actually showing it to you right now. It's a condensed bar graph that showed temperature change, percent change in Botswana over the last 100 years. And seeing the color change from blue to red was a very sobering reflection of just how much change has happened over the last century.
Wow.
Pretty striking, huh?
Absolutely.
So what do we do about it? Of course, we all have things that we can do personally to care for the earth, but on a larger scale, we believe that governments partnering together to solve climate change problems has the biggest impact. So at the U.S. Embassy this past year, we've partnered with the Ministry of Agriculture on the drafting of a biosafety bill that would open the door for farmers to have more options like drought-resistant seeds and other environmental adaptations that would help prevent food insecurity.
Wow.
We also have an Embassy Science Fellows program that allows us to bring in scientists from various U.S. government agencies. They come to Botswana for 30 to 90 days and advise in a particular area of need. For instance, last year we hosted an ecologist from the Environmental Protection Agency who advised the members of CASA on a new bird conservation strategy.
Nice.
And then for this year, we're hoping to bring in 2 soil scientists to partner with NARDI and the Ministry of Agriculture on soil health research and the publication of a national soil survey.
Wow.
And then, of course, we also have an OES small grants program that is a unique opportunity to reward those who are developing innovative strategies on climate change adaptation, such as our guest today, who's going to talk about, she's the recipient of that small grants program.
Oh, nice, nice. That's actually amazing. And, that shows the power of collaboration. The more that I do the Stars and Stripes show, the more I'm understanding the importance of collaboration. You mentioned a number of things that to do with the environment, but that speaks to national interest, that speaks to national security, food security. I love the fact that, the U.S. Embassy is also engaging in soil science and soil health, because we've got a lot of indigenous crops in this country, and of course that is why the climate change conversation is very, very important. And you know what, you touch my heart. Any program that supports the farmer is an important program to us all. And if you'd like to be a part of the show, if you'd like to send a WhatsApp message, feel free to engage me on +267 395 6962. Look, Natalie, let's continue. Gender, how does gender come to play within climate change? When I saw this in my notes and my show concept, I was like, how does gender come into the conversation of climate change? Is it true that women face higher risk and burdens from impacts of climate change? Is this very true?
Yes, actually, it is in fact true. So aside from just women's unequal participation in labor markets, that's already an issue, women are often reliant on natural resources for their livelihoods. True. And in Botswana, it's actually usually the women who are collecting the wood for fuel. And so this is why the Small Grants Award that we'll talk about today targets specifically women beneficiaries and the need for women's inclusion and leadership in the energy sector.
Wow. And that's an important conversation to have. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. If you've just joined us, welcome to the Stars and Stripes radio show, proudly brought to you by the U.S. Embassy in partnership with Gabs FM, #America in Botswana. And of course, it's all about shared prosperity, shared health. And of course, today we're talking about greening. We're talking about women entrepreneurship within the green economy. This is something that the BW government is definitely set out to achieve. There's so many opportunities in the green economy, and this is why we've got to educate ourselves on issues to do with the environment. Natalie, let me ask you this last question. What concepts do we need to grasp? What shifts in consciousness need to happen for us to collectively, and why I say this question is that, climate change is not your responsibility. It's not the U.S. government responsibility. It's not the BW government responsibility. It's our responsibility. In sort of your last words, what would you say as a recommendation from yourself as Natalie?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because I personally believe that shifts in consciousness might seem like the acquisition of new information, but really it's just an unveiling of what's always been true. And so in this case, moving forward, we have to embrace a One Health approach. And by that, what I mean is that all life is interconnected.
I like that.
So as we learned our lessons from COVID-19, there are absolutely no corners on this pale blue dot, and everything circles back around. Indigenous peoples have applied the concepts of One Health for thousands of years. They really know the need for a healthy, sustainable relationship between humanity and the natural environment.
I like that.
For instance, healthy soil equals healthy humans, right? Healthy environment equals healthy animals and plants, which equals healthy humans. Healthy air quality equals healthy plants, animals, and healthy humans. So this is nothing new, really, and this continent has traditionally embodied this wisdom. So this concept has always been true, but we're now waking up to it at an accelerated pace because of climate change.
Absolutely. And, I love what you said. We don't know what you've got until it's gone. You don't appreciate the air that you breathe until you cannot breathe that air. And, our environment is exactly the similar way. There's so many invincible elements that we don't see that we need to learn to appreciate. And I love the way you put it. Natalie, thank you so much for being a part of the show. If you've just joined us, welcome to the show. We are speaking to Natalie Patton, U.S. Embassy Environment, Science, Technology and Health Associate, of course, at the U.S. Embassy, just touching on a number of issues within the green economy and, of course, climate change and other matters. And this is the wealth of knowledge that the U.S. Embassy does provide. Imagine soil health is an important component. She also managed a biosafety bill that the U.S. Embassy, in partnership with the BW farmers, trying to put together in order to mitigate issues related to farming and climate change. And of course, a number of programming that is available for you and I and a number of beneficiaries in the green economy. Kings and Queens, we're going to continue conversation. And of course, I've got another guest in the building. She goes by the name Duduzile Masuku. She's project officer at Botswana Climate Change Network. Now, I have heard of this network, one that is doing great work in Botswana. And of course, some of their objectives is to empower and strengthen community participation and involvement in the climate change agenda or climate agenda, to support initiatives and apply the innovative researches aimed at creating green jobs as well as sustainable environment and resource management. We're all walking into the knowledge-based economy. We're all trying to play our part in diversifying our economy, and these are some of the solutions available to us to create a platform for dialogue on sustainable development issues in the country, to create sustainable livelihood options and economic opportunities for marginalized communities, and of course to build critical mass of conscious and tolerant citizens who can actively participate in climate change, environmental management and energy issues at national, regional and global spaces. Dudu, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm okay, and thank you very much for having me in your show.
Fantastic. How was your week?
It's been a very hectic week.
How have you received so much rain in your personal life, and of course as a member of the climate change movement?
We highly welcome the rain that you are having because it's plowing season for Botswana.
Yeah.
You know how we rely on agriculture. So with this rains, hopefully we will be able to reap something from the fields.
I like that. Yes. Kings and Queens, 11:24 is your time across the nation. And of course, we're speaking to Duduzile Masuku, project officer at Botswana Climate Change Network. Look, let's talk about your role at Botswana Climate Change Network and what is BCCN currently doing in Botswana. What is your mandate? Tlhalosetsa Botswana gore lona as the Climate Change Network, what are you about? Talk to me.
Like you said, my name is Duduzile Masuku. I work at Botswana Climate Change Network as a project officer.
Okay.
I am currently assisting with the Greening Women Enterprise project. Yes. And our main aim or main mandate is to help Botswana achieve or help Botswana with knowledge on climate change issues, because we are
climate change.
Yes, we are slow in understanding what climate change is. Yet we see its impact on our daily life.
Climate change. What is climate change? How would you define climate change for Motswana already? Look, there is an information gap. Botswana hear the word climate change. We hear it at COP27. We hear it in Parliament. But Motswana sa thaloganya gore climate change tota like just explain to us.
Erra ga re bua ka climate change re bua ka phetogo ya seemo sa loapi kgotsana ditiragalo tsena tse re di bonang di diragala tse dipula tse di heteletseng mogoto heteletseng re sa go nna le bo dineo mo Botswana. That was our first time to experience that.
Right.
And as mo ke gone manokono kwa ra itemogelang a phetogo ya seemo sa loapi.
Wow. Wow.
We only hear of bo dineo di hurricane ko mahatseng a kwa, but it's coming. It's already here. We are already experiencing it.
Absolutely.
So climate change is real.
It is very real, and it affects every one of us, not only just a significant few. Well, kings and queens, welcome to the show. And of course, you're on the Stars and Stripes show, proudly brought to you by the U.S. Embassy in partnership with Gabs FM. The objective of this show is to highlight the bilateral relationship between the U.S. government and, of course, the BW government. Look, you did receive, as Botswana Climate Change Network, a grant from the U.S. Embassy and, of course, specifically the Regional Environment Office. Talk to us about what that grant is, what have you done with the grant? How has it helped you, push the mandate of climate change education for Botswana?
Yes, with the grant that we have received from the U.S. Embassy, we intend to work with women. Yes. Our intention is to work with women from marginalized areas, from your rural areas.
Okay.
Okay. The initiative of the project is to help educate, help women. We have realized that women are at the forefront of eradicating poverty. So, tota hela bo mme mo Botswana ke bone ba leng go pele ha go tamo go tsa go rwalela dikgong gwa go bapala bo panel ba ikore ba tsele ba itsetsang ka yone era re le ka project re le ka go tokahatsa itsetso ya bone era.
Well, it's Gabs FM, power to engage. Joel, 11:27 is your time, talking the green economy. Kings and queens, do not change that dial. This is opportunity for you, me, and everybody to learn. Good morning.
Francistown, power to engage your world is on 96.8 FM.
FM, power to engage. Joel, this one is Scarface. He says, my block. And of course, thank you so much for being a part of the Stars and Stripes radio show, proudly brought to you by the U.S. Embassy in partnership with Gabs FM. And today we're talking to Botswana Climate Change Network, an organization, a non-profit organization that's doing great things. The network sees it imperative to integrate climate change actions into national policy strategies and planning in an effort to ensure that climate change is fully addressed and actions respond to global agreed goals. Kings and queens, I'm speaking to a good friend of mine from Botswana Climate Change Network. She goes by the name Duduzile Masuku. She's the project officer at Botswana Climate Change Network, and they recently won a grant, of course, in line with climate change. Bona Dusta, welcome back to the show. How are you? Let me see that Colgate smile. Give it to me, my sister Onalen. Look, we're talking off air. You guys have done a lot of work within communities. Your beneficiaries of your, this grant. Who are the beneficiaries? Where are they located? Talk to me.
With this project, we intend to award women who will be our beneficiaries. We did a mapping study all across Botswana.
Okay.
Yes. And from this mapping study, we have selected women who in turn will be the ones benefiting from this grant.
How do women, basadi baholo, baba irang, what do they do? How do they do it? Just walk us through so that we understand.
The beneficiaries re bo mehela ba elong gore the ordinary Botswana. From baba palambo phane kwa.
Wow.
Baba le mambo merogo kwa, baba le mango masimong kwa.
Wow.
Ke bone ba elong gore project e tota go bua nnete ine e direlwa bone.
And obviously that is going to show in providing an economic opportunity for bone. I know whether we like it or not, Botswana, there's, I call it undocumented abject poverty. A lot of Botswana are being faced with very, very difficult issues. And I love the way Botswana Climate Change Network has brought in the economic point of view and the climate change, and a lot of women within our communities to say, let's make a difference. Look, did you guys profile some of these women?
We did profile quite a lot of them.
Okay,
we had
nice.
Around 30 women.
Wow. Around 30. And which parts of Botswana have you been working in?
We've been as far as Kasane, Khansi, Francistown area,
nice.
That is why we've been all over Botswana, because profile.
And why is it important for Botswana Climate Change Network to do this work in line and in partnership with the community? Are you guys educating them on climate change? Climate change? What happens? Just walk us through that.
Really, Botswana Climate Change Network. We've been to Good Hope climate change. We've been to Manyana climate change. We've been to Bopalape.
Yes. Touching each corner
in the country.
Absolutely. Well, kings and queens, that is, of course, a Botswana Climate Change Network. You can actually follow them on all their social media platforms. They also have a website, www.botswanaclimatechangenetwork.org, and they're doing so many a lot of great work in Botswana. They are a beneficiary of a grant provided by the U.S. Embassy and, of course, the environmental office at the regional environmental office at the U.S. Embassy. This is an important conversation, and like I said, it is our role to play our part in changing our climate and playing our role to mitigate some of these things. Our rains are coming late. We've got droughts in this country. There's so many things. You know what I like when I do is I think also not thinking out loud. We need to also find a way to conserve and preserve indigenous plants. I really think that is a solution. I've also got a dream of creating an indigenous seed bank, because I think this is how we protect Yarona and also, impact a lot of the rural Botswana out there who are going through difficult things. So bravo to you. You've got my vote. I think Assistant Minister of Environment would suit you in the near future. Okay, my friend?
Thank you very much, Drift.
You're very welcome. Let me give you this opportunity to share your parting statements. What would you like to say to Botswana in line with climate change, in line with what you're doing as Botswana Climate Change Network? What would be your parting statement?
Our environment. We don't have planet B. This is the only planet that we have.
I like that. We
need to take care of our planet.
Okay, thank you so much. And of course, you've been hearing the voice of Duduzile Masuku, Project Officer at Botswana Climate Change Network. And of course, that is the theme of today, the green economy and how climate change, that's the interesting part. We cannot look at these pillars without relating them or bringing them together. Climate change affects natural security, it affects food security and our everyday environment. Kings and queens, look out for it. We got Asta Sharjay coming your way shortly. Good morning. It's Gabs FM, power to engage your world. 11:40 is your time across the nation, and of course, thank you so much for being a part of the Stars and Stripes radio show, proudly brought to you by the U.S. Embassy in partnership with Gabs FM. Now, we're going to go and jumpstart our next segment. It's called Ask the Sharjay, or Ask the Acting Ambassador segment. This is where you get to ask the U.S. Embassy all the burning questions that you might have to the Acting Ambassador of the United States Embassy to Botswana, Her Excellency Amanda Jacobson. And this is your question that you had to ask. As an individual, do you like buying Botswana products? If yes, which ones? I think this was a trick question, but let's hear what she had to say.
Absolutely. I love buying Botswana products. So in particular, I love going to street markets and supporting local Botswana artists, such as those who sell in the main mall in downtown Gaborone. I have a particular passion, though, for kuru art from when I visited Hanzi and met with members of the San community previously. The U.S. Embassy has showcased kuru art previously at the ambassador's residence, and I have 2 pieces that I bought that are prominently displayed in my home.
Well done. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. That is the right way, and you're playing your part as a member of society in the Republic of Botswana. Kings and Queens, 11:42 is your time. Now, if you'd like to study in the U.S., if you'd like to engage the U.S. Embassy, and you're wondering how, I always say be proactive, never be reactive. Now, Education USA is an office and a service provided by the U.S. Embassy. All you have to do is go on to www.bw.usembassy.gov. They've got all the information needed. The U.S. mission arranges a variety of U.S. government-sponsored exchange programs that link Botswana and Americans together. Shared culture. These programs are intended to introduce participants to the United States and American people and culture, as well as provide them with a chance to exchange ideas with their American colleagues. Educational and cultural exchanges create human bonds and enduring relationships that build bridges of cooperation and understanding between peoples. You can also engage the public affairs section that promotes a better understanding of American life, and that's why this show is proudly brought to you by the public affairs section of the U.S. Embassy. Let me tell you something. You can also engage the U.S. Embassy and arrange your own interview or one-on-one session where students that want to study in the USA can contact the USA, the Education USA Advising Center at the following number, 395-39282. That is 395-3982. The office has, a number of reference materials in paper and electronic format to assist you in the big decision of choosing a university. And they've got over 3,000 academic centers or tertiary education offered by the American people. Kings and Queens, I am a beneficiary of one of those programs. I happen to go on the IVLP for NGO management, and let me tell you something, it changed my life. I'm a firm believer that once you empower me as an individual, you change my life. And this is some of the programming offered by the U.S. Embassy. Let me tell you, if you're a parent, if you're an academic, if you're a professional, please go on the U.S. Embassy Facebook, social media pages, or their website and engage with the U.S. Embassy. There's nothing wrong with giving them a call and saying, look, I'd like to understand what this means, or what is the possibility of engaging this U.S. Embassy from this platform. If you don't ask, you'll never know. Kings and Queen, we're talking climate change. And let me tell you something, I got to play you a classic song by none other than Michael Joseph Jackson. He says, heal the world. I think it's a very, very important conversation to have. It's Gabs FM, power to engage your world. Heal the world. What an important song. And look, this is why we've got to take care of our environment. It's our responsibility. And that is the message that I think is so fitting. And we've got to thank Michael Joseph Jackson. Kings and Queens, I've also got to remind you of a community garden, Maboko Dinku Community Garden. The U.S. Embassy has partnered with the Gaborone City Council and the Government Ward Development Committee to build a community garden in Extension 11 Park. The garden serves as a place for community to come together, volunteer and relax. There are garden beds for people to grow plants, trees, even vegetables, and an opportunity for you to harvest. Proudly brought to you by the U.S. Embassy in Gaborone, a lending library that can also be found in the community garden. This is for anybody who wants to read a book or even lend a book. They have already read 2 others, and that's such a beautiful example of a shared economy. It's an easy and effective way to encourage reading and learning. The garden features plants, indigenous plants from Botswana, fruits, vegetables for the local community or partner organization to cultivate and distribute to the surrounding surrounding community, please feel free to visit them in Extension 11. Great place to take a walk, and of course a family-orientated environment. Now, guess what? I've got a gift for you. If you call me on 395-6962, I will be giving you a little surprise on behalf of the U.S. Embassy in partnership with Gabs FM. All you've got to tell me is two questions. What is the name of the show? Number two, what is the name of the climate change organization that I had the pleasure of interviewing today on the show? Call me on 395-6962, and I promise you I will be very, very nice to you. And of course, this is the Stars and Stripes show, proudly brought to you by the U.S. Embassy in partnership with Gabs FM. Hashtag America in Botswana. Please feel free to follow the U.S. Embassy on all social media platform pages, and of course, engage them. One thing that the American culture want, they do truly want engagement. They truly want to speak to you, the biggest stakeholder of Botswana Pty Ltd. Gabs FM, good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Say, how are you?
Good.
Fantastic. What is the name of this show? Hello?
The Stripes Show.
The Stripes Show. I want to give it to you, but I can't give it to you. It wouldn't be right. Okay, let me ask you another question. What is the name of the organization that deals with climate change that I was interviewing?
Climate Botswana.
Okay, I'll give you one last chance. What is the name of the community garden that the U.S. Embassy built in partnership with various stakeholders? How sa rabe yo ne ye motsadi wa ka ke ipotsa gore ke a go thusa ya. Come on. 395-6962. Okay, let me tell you. There's a community garden. All you have to answer is one of three questions. Number one, what is the name of this particular show? Number two, what is the name of the community garden that the U.S. Embassy built in partnership with Gaborone City Council and the Ward Development Community or Committee? Or what was the name of the climate change organization? Choose your question. Gabs FM, good morning. Hello.
Thank
you, sir.
Stripes, my brother, radio show.
Double everything. Just hold the line. Let me take your details. Good morning. FM Power to engage you. Well, congratulations. Talk to me, my brother. What questions do you have?
Hey, Dumelang, how are you, my good people from the United States?
Say that again.
How are they, my people from the United States, my brother?
They are very fine and they're listening to you.
Hey, I was wondering, Russia has attacked Ukraine on whatever reasons they have.
Okay.
The United States has attacked Iraq on the same reason that they were having.
Okay.
Which one is genocide and which one is the police? Is America better than USA?
Okay.
As far as global politics are concerned.
Okay.
Why should we sanction Russia when it did not sanction US when it attacked Iraq on fabulous and after we realized fabulous reasons? After we realized there were no weapons of mass destruction.
All right.
Why is the U.S. always insisting that people should be taken to the World Criminal Court of Justice? When they were not exposed to the same, are they holier than thou attitude?
Okay.
And are we in an equal environment and level in this world? Is America better than other countries?
Great question. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, welcome, man.
It's a great question, and whether we like it or not, geopolitics is an important conversation. Unfortunately, it's not the right platform to have this kind of conversation. And you know that Swift always has these conversations on the King's Chamber between 7 and 10. And the U.S. Embassy has on a number of occasions been a part of that particular show. You know, one thing that I've got to applaud the American culture and American people. American people are not afraid of having these difficult questions, and they're more than willing to engage. I just think it is not the right platform today, but I will definitely extend an invitation to the U.S. Embassy to come and talk about the Russia-Ukraine saga. We'll come and discuss it at length, and of course, whether we like it or not, it's a conversation that must be had. I've got to applaud you for obviously asking the right questions, and we'll definitely follow up. But either way, you're still a winner. We don't discriminate. We do believe in difference of opinion, and that's part and parcel of the American culture, and that's what we do. Kings and Queens, it's 11:55 across the nation. We're going to continue conversation. Actually, we've fast run out of time. I've got to wish you a great weekend on behalf of the American people, on behalf of the Stars and Stripes radio show, proudly brought to you by the U.S. Embassy in partnership with Gabs FM. Kings and Queens, 11:55 is your time. Good afternoon.
Mahalape. Power to engage your world is on 93.4 FM.
The Stars and Stripes show was brought to you by the U.S. Embassy.